Welcome everyone to our quarterly chapter conference training. I want to thank all of you guys so much for taking the time from your day to join us. I know that you're all busy and we're grateful for your time. As I said before, you can mute yourself on the lower left-hand side, and then also we'll be doing a Q&A. And the way to do that is there's that chat button, which is at the bottom of your screen in the middle. You can just open it and then send a chat to me, and we'll have the questions and answers at the end of the training after Roy has gone through the reporting system. And then we're going to do a couple housekeeping things. The first thing is, last year, for those of you who don't recall or who are new, we did sort of a swag order to help support your chapters, which means that if you have chapter funds that you want to use to buy swag, you can do that. I'm going to sort of show you the screen of what the form looks like. This is a simple Google Doc. I will be sending it out to you when we have the link from the training. So there'll be the link to the training and then also this Google Doc. And on this Google Doc, you can sort of order swag. And as you see, the chapter name, your representative name, email, and then how to deliver it. So we can either have you pick up the swag when you come to the conference in the fall, or you can pay for shipping and we'll ship it too. And then as you scroll down, you can see some of the different swag items that we'll be doing a bulk order of if you're interested in buying. And where it says your answer, you just sort of type in the number of pom-poms that you'd be interested for your chapter. So once the order form for all swag will be due August 15th, that gives us enough time to order it and create the swag packages by the conference. So if you're, you can pick it up then, or we'll send it mail. So if you're interested in getting swag for your chapter, this is sort of the place to go, and it should work. And so that is that. And then as an update, as you all know, in October we have our fall conference. We are getting ready to do registration. Registration will probably open next week or the week after. We have students, and Roy and I are busy getting that together. We're so excited to welcome you all to Provo campus. We'll have spectacular tickets and football tickets, and just be on the lookout for registration, because that should be happening probably within the next few weeks. We'll send you the link to the Eventbrite. I'm now going to turn the time over to Wendy Hudson, and she's going to talk about the travel incentive and go over that. And then after Wendy, Roy Brinkerhoff is going to talk you through the reporting system. So Wendy, do you want to take over?
Okay, great. Can everybody hear me? Hopefully I just unmuted myself. I'm going to share my screen. So hopefully you'll be able to see. Are you guys able to see this, Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we sent out our travel incentive.
Have a good night.
Earlier, maybe a couple months ago. But I just wanted to remind everybody that this incentive is available this year again, in addition to the True Blue funds. So if your chapter becomes True Blue, you get $500. This travel incentive is also worth $500. And so there's some chapter qualifications, and what those qualifications are: one, the chapter must be fully staffed with a minimum of 4 committee members. The reports need to be filled out and submitted by the end of August, which Roy's going to cover. We need you to be registered for this fall conference, and only 1 travel incentive is available per chapter, and each chapter must have an initial plan for becoming True Blue next year. And that basically just means if you kind of temporarily put in your 4 True Blue events for next year, and then have an initial, or excuse me, who is eligible, the first and second time conference attendees. Basically what we're trying to do is, you know, that's $1,000 per chapter, the True Blue money and this incentive. We're hoping that as chapters, you guys are focusing on your succession plans, if you will, and we want to encourage you to invite those people who may be taking your place if you've been a chapter chair for, you know, quite a few years, or 2 or 3, 4 years, that your successors might be able to take advantage of this travel incentive and have them come to this conference as well. However, with that in mind, keep in mind that we usually just cover 2 people per chapter as far as all of the events. Right, Kelly? I hope I'm not misspeaking here.
No, that's correct. So basically, all chapters get 2 free registration for the conference, and that includes the ticket to the spectacular and the football game and all of the food. But in the past, we always have a few chapters where more than 2 people come, or 4 people will come, or 3. And all that means is for that 3rd or the 4th or even 5th person, you would then need to pay for sort of the conference fee. And when you get the Eventbrite, there'll be a place for additional registrants outside of those 2. And at this point, it looks like it will be about $225 for any additional person to attend the conference. And that includes sort of the football tickets and spectacular tickets.
This travel initiative is kind of a way for us to buffer those expenses and cover those people who you would like to come as well. So I think that's it. I'm going to turn it now over to Roy, and again remind everybody to please mute your computer. If you scroll or scan your little mouse over the bottom button, need everybody to mute, and then we'll turn it over to Roy.
Can I have, okay. Wendy, I need you to unshare your screen.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right. Okay, everybody, you should be able to see my screen now. We're just going to walk through the reporting system and what you need to be doing as far as getting things done. Now, I want you to notice I'm on Firefox. Normally, I use Chrome. We have found that Alumni 3 does not work very steadily on Chrome. It works on Firefox, it'll work on Edge, if you're an Apple user, on Safari. Will you, anybody who has their mute not on, will you please mute it? Thank you. So, but I use Firefox just to keep it more stable. It does not stay stable on Chrome. So you come up to the top. Now I know some of you are on the phone. I will try to describe what we're doing as we go through. The rest of you, it's going to be more visual. But to get into the system, you first go to Alumni 3. So Alumni 3 takes you to the sign-in sheet. Now, anybody who needs to sign in but does not have access needs to get me your net ID so I can turn this on for you. The way to do that is right here. Forgot your net ID or password, or create a new one. If you don't know what it is, go ahead and create it. Get that to us. We can then give you the rights so you can get in here. Right now, it's just me that we're looking at, so yep. Of course, I spelled everything wrong. Okay, so this takes you to Alumni 3. Just a quick thing, if you've not seen this before, there are several parts to this that you should be aware of. This part, the students, this is where you can get new student lists of those that are currently, that are new students this year, current students from last year, and if you need to send an email to them for some reason, inviting them to an event, or reminding them to apply for replenishment grants, whatever, you can use this little email program and get them a quick message for things like that. Chapter administration has a number of things that you want to just spend some time looking at, especially the downloads. There's logos in there if you want to use some logos specifically for your uses. There's some in there you can find. And then also a link back to Chapterpedia, where all of our training materials and information is. But it's this chapter reports and planning. This is where you go. Now, once you sign in here, the first time you come in, you'll be asked what your chapter is. So you'll see this little drop-down screen that you can select your chapter. After that, you will always go to your home chapter. Now, if you notice, this chapter that is here is a test. It's kind of one that we made up. I'm not going to go to any of your specific chapters this time, but you can see you have the badges. These are, as you complete True Blue events and activities through the year, this is just a way for you to measure. This does not mean you're True Blue. We'll go into that a little bit further. All this means is, yeah, you're headed in the right direction. You're completing things as you go. And that's a very important part of things, just so you kind of know where you stand. But just because these are all lit up does not mean you're True Blue. There are other requirements still. The roster, again, you can just go in here, update the roster, change the auxiliary positions, add photos, everything like that. With these, it's one item at a time. But down here, you just add in new positions or delete positions as things change. So then, of course, the financial is a pretty simple thing. There is one thing I want to show you on this. On the financial part, when you do an add entry, you can select it by event, the events that are currently in the system. But then we've added this new one, select a type. So if you will use this, select the type of revenue, and then also when you do an expense, select the type of expense it is. That is going to help our accountants a great deal, because we have to do one gigantic report that is submitted to the IRS at the end of the year. And so if we already have your events already lined up as to those categories, it just makes everything for our accountants much easier to finish. So back here, now what we're talking about right this minute is the events. And so that's the report that's due right now. So if you go into the chapter events and activities, you come to this page. Now notice it says 2018. We keep track of the events by calendar, even though the report itself is half of 2017 and half of 2018. So you'll want to remember that this isn't your report yet. This is just the list of events that are happening. Let's see, a couple of things we want to show you here. When you add an event, you just do that by putting in the name, the date, the time, the location, the address, and then select the category. Now here's a couple of things to understand about the categories. There are 4 categories, main categories we're looking for: student engagement, alumni engagement, enlarge the influence of the Y, replenishment, and then chapter administration. So let's just say that, because this is one of the questions that is coming up for now, and that is what is replenishment? Replenishment, if you open that up, you now see a type of event, and so you select one of these two. Now notice replenishment is the effort of raising funds to help students with replenishment grants. It is not giving the grants, it's the effort of raising funds. And so you can do that as a fundraising event or as a fundraising campaign. Both of those are related to the effort of raising the money. Now, if you were to change your replenishment and go to enlarge the influence of the Y, then select the event type. One of the options here is replenishment grant award presentations and ceremonies. So once you've made the event and you make a presentation or a celebration or some sort of notification to the community or to others that you're giving these grants, that can be counted as an enlarge the influence of the Y event or activity. And likewise, if you choose in the event category chapter administration and then look at the event type, you have the replenishment grant selection committee meeting. So the action of making the selections of who is going to get the grants is an administrative idea, but the event,
supposed to be a concrete.
But the replenishment itself is a fundraising activity. So I hope that you understand that. Now, one other thing here, You notice down here, attendance, volunteers, and hours. Remember back at that front page, we had those badges. A badge does not become live until you finish the event. So even though, as you do, as Wendy suggests, you come in and you plan ahead, you look into the next year and plan when you're going to do all of your True Blue activities, which you need to do. We're looking for that, by the way. Then you'll have them on the calendar, but they are not active yet. So those little boxes will not be lit up until you come in and put in the attendance, the volunteers, and the volunteer hours. The reason we ask for these volunteer hours is because we are a 501c3. This is the one number, the volunteer numbers and the hours of volunteers that we do report to the IRS. That helps us maintain our 501c3 status. So those numbers, even though they seem like, oh, gee, that, I don't know, you know, it's okay. Make a good estimate, a good faith estimate, because those numbers are important to us. So please make sure you fill in all of those numbers. We don't count the event unless there's an attendance count here. So even if you have just a meeting between two people, put in 2. If you have a telephone call, put in 2, and put in the number of time you spent. Maybe it's only half an hour, but that's okay.
Hey, Roy, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
And the hours, is that total hours of all volunteers, or does your system multiply number of volunteers by hours?
Event by event. So what was put toward this event, that's what you put in here.
So if I have like 5 volunteers and each person did 5 hours, you want me to put 25 hours?
That's right. You put in the total number of hours given. We don't need it broken out necessarily. We just need the total numbers.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So let's see. Another couple of items here. When you have these events in place and you need to do some editing, you can come over to this side of the page in the actions. This little thing is to edit the event. It takes you back here. You can then do additional things, add in the volunteer hours, the hours like that. If you want to make it visible on the page, then you change this to yes. That brings in more questions. What kind of display do you want? Further descriptions. Are tickets required, yes or no? If tickets are required or a registration is required, then it then gives you the opportunity to put in a valid link for the purchase of those tickets. When you do that, on your web page will be a little link for ticket purchase. So these are just additional things if you want things displayed. We recommend that you do any activity or event, make it public. Go ahead and put it out there. Your meetings, not necessarily. Your training time, telephone calls, that doesn't need to be there. But any kind of an event should be made public. So let's see, I think that's what we needed there.
One idea, suggestion there on that little pop-up form, it would be helpful if it just said volunteer hours. It took me a while to make sure to figure out that was just the volunteer hours. I know it says it on this main form right here, but in the pop-up it just says hours, and it's a little confusing. Is it the hours of everyone in attendance? Is it the hours, the duration of the activity, or all the volunteer hours?
Volunteer hours, and thanks, we'll make that note. Okay, so also here, this is the way you would, if you wish to have us to create an email for you, you use this little green envelope. And you've already put in, hopefully, all of the details, the time, the location, the date, all of that. So we don't ask all of that again. It should already be listed here. All you need to do now is put in, okay, what subject do you want for this email? If you want it to go to another chapter or the entire state for some reason, let us know. And then in this box, additional information, this is a rich text. You can design it pretty much the way you want it to look and to say, pretty close. We will copy and paste it and do our own tweaks to it, but you can make this exactly what your message is that you want out there. And then if you want us to create a registration for you, then click yes or this or no, whatever. and then what date do you want the email to go out. If you'll give us at least 24 hours, that helps. A day or two more than that is nice. If it's the same day, we'll do what we can, but there's no guarantee if you want it out exactly that day, because there's a lot to it. And then
Roy, they're doing this, it just sends the email to the alumni, not the students.
Yeah, this is just if you want to go to your alumni. This is the email that comes to us for us to prepare to go to your alumni in general. The student email is back on Alumni 3.
Yeah.
Remember?
Okay.
That's where you would send an email just to students.
All right. Thanks.
So anyway, yeah. Let's see. Let's go back. So now I want you to notice something else. This is 2018. Now, if you're in here and you're trying to get your report ready to turn in, you can go back to 2017. Now notice the submit, say on 2018, you have a submit report button. That is only visible when the reports are due. So in 2017, it's not there, but half of your report is on 2017. So you need to come back and look at the dates. So here's stuff is the first one on this year's report from this one in September. So come back here, make the changes and adjustments you need by using the edit form. Go back to 2018, and this is where it's actually live to submit because it's the 2018 report. Now 2019, if you have, we want you to go ahead and start filling this out already, add what you have coming. That submit report is not here yet. That will pull up next July when it's time to submit. So right now, you've got things ready. You say, yep, this is what I want. Now you can submit the report. It comes in here first. You have a chance to look at it again. This is what you are submitting to us. If there are zeros still in place, go back to that, click this edit report, go back and fix that or delete it. If it's no longer part of your events, if you didn't do it, delete it and then come back again. So once you've checked this a second time, that's when you actually submit the report. The confirmed submission, that sends me an email saying it's done, this chapter's completed it. Now that doesn't mean, if you notice, this one has an event that happens next week here at the end. If you forget one or you remember something later, you can come back in, add that back in and resubmit the report to us. That's just fine to do that. We want you to do it at one time, but if you have to do it more than once, that's okay. And by hitting that confirm submission, you're done as far as the reports this year. Now, when it's time for financial reports in December and January, the same thing will apply to that report. And we do hope that you submit a financial report, even though you maybe don't have any local money. Go ahead and submit it empty. That way, at least we know you're looking at it and you've submitted it. Again, that's in December and January, not now. Right now, it's just the event report, and then the keeping the roster current is what we're looking for. I believe that covers most of what we needed to talk about now. So I'm going
Roy, can you remind us what's the begin and end date of the fiscal year of the events report? Is it August through July?
Yes, August 1st to July 31st is the reporting year for events and activities.
Okay. All right. So if we have another activity planned already at the end of July, it's probably better for us to just wait until that activity is over and then we can fill it in and send it. Or would you rather have us send it now and then send another one?
No, you have until the end of August to submit your reports.
Okay.
So go ahead and finish things up and then get it in August.